Hey guys, this is On Productions, aka Nana 4673, and I'm back in Skights Part 7! Yeah, update on the computer. I have tried to download Nameless again to make it work, and it seems like it is working. So I haven't lost it, I think, and that makes me happy. I don't know yet though. Um, yeah, I am on my ruined computer with the smashed screen, but it is working still because I'm not that unlucky. So I'm playing Skights today while waiting on Nameless to work. So yeah, and hopefully I can get a couple of parts in this weekend out. And it seems to be working. Skights weren't working on this computer, but then I realized I could just use Chrome and then it would work. And yeah, okay. Let's just go. His eyes were opening. We've just saved the fucking prince. The prince's face went back to its healthy gray. I remember that. Oh, I don't know how loud the music is. Whatever. It's a miracle. Thank the fairies. The prince turned to face me. To face me, and I cried at the sight of his restored health. You're alive. You're. The prince rose carefully from bed, keeping his hand on the bed rail as he stood. His legs wobbled from the after effects of the poison. Even so, he reached his hand out, caressing my face. You saved my life. The prince held my gaze. You saved me. Yes. And then the black came. My body lost all its strength, and soon I was falling. The prince caught me just as I fainted. Everything was swallowed in black. Interesting. The morning light greeted my eyes quite harshly. Oh, I need to remember her voice. I made it very light, didn't I? Daylight had come in, and I made the chocolate girl very dark, and then the red strawberry girl like a middle voice, I think. Yeah. Daylight had come in, and the room was embodied a strange emptiness throughout. I was laying on the bed alone. I'm sorry for the clicking noises, but I can't click in any other way. The prince and his guards were gone, and they left no trace of their presence. Someone was at the door. Come in? The door creaked open, and my landlord stepped inside. How are you feeling, Nessie? Oh, I'm fine. I'm sorry if I caused you trouble for the past few days. Well, you did, but he sat himself down on a chair. I thought I should give you the news. The news? I waited for him to speak. Yes, after you fainted, the prince and his guards left immediately. They were afraid to take any more chances trying to stay in Vanillaville, so with the extra shaped alibi, they left. My heart dropped. Oh, I see. The prince was gone. The prince was gone already. They also wanted to let you know that you are now pardoned from the attempted assassination of His Royal Highness. They sincerely apologize for their mistake and hope that you will forgive them in time. My eyes dropped to the floor. Yes, that was very good news. Except that I was severely disappointed by the fact I would never see the prince again. He was gone. Forever. And so, I jolted from the bed, heading straight out to the door. Nessie, where are you going? I ran for it. The streets were empty. It was very early in the morning, and the sun had probably risen not too long ago. Only a few early risers wandered the street at this time of the day. Huff huff. My body felt drained. It was a strange feeling, like all my energy had been sapped away. Fine. It was hopeless. I don't know, should I talk with her voice? Also, I should. The prince and his royal procession were probably miles away by now. They had a whole night's ride, and now they might have already made their way out of Vanilla Woods. I slumped down on the street floor, giving up. Who am I kidding? I was a commoner. He was a prince. I should be grateful enough to have this opportunity to meet royalty in flesh. Some people go through their entire lives never getting a chance like this. It was already too good to be true, and it happened. Besides, I didn't belong in this world. Honestly, to think that I'd meet him again and have some sort of mutual relationship with the Crown Prince. Sweet fairies. Fairies, I sound so foolish. I continued to scrap myself down the street floor, not bothering to move myself at the street's passerby complained. It was over. Now life would return to the way it was, and will ever be. I'll probably go back to my room later, put on a clean frock, and continue to on the day like it ever was. And it will be the same as tomorrow and all the days after tomorrow for the rest of my dull days. Is that? No, that couldn't be. The early morning risers turned their heads down the road. Distracted momentarily, I looked behind my shoulder. Something was coming down the street. No, not something. It was a whole barrage of guards led by one distinct figure. Could it be? It's the... My head lifted. What's the prince doing here? Didn't he leave yesterday evening? The prince and his royal procession made their way down vanilla cobblestone streets. Oh shit, phone. Sorry, I'm back now. They were about to head into my resident building, but upon seeing me into the distance, they faltered. They continued their way down the street. Stop! The royal guards halted. The prince continued to walk down the road. I love how his arms are like, I am the prince, I am going through, and then he has this little adorable tiny crown. Sorry. Until he had curbed to a slow stop in front of me. We looked at each other, neither of us saying a word. Oh, he looked so gentle. Was he really here? Oh, was this only a street illusion? Please, I pray, if I'm dreaming, do not wake me up. Your Highness, is everything all right? I was sure that you were on your way back to... Yes, I'm perfectly fine. I'm perfectly well now, thanks to you. But I seem to have forgotten something very important. He pulled out a sword swiftly from his sheath. Gently, he rested it on my shoulder. Vanessa, for your acts of bravery, and for your deeds to the crown, I hereby grant you the honor of knighthood. Oh my god, I love how it's just like... Oh my god! Everyone is just... The royal company let out an audible gasp. Guards rushed to the prince's side, whispering to his ears. Your Highness, a woman can't be a knight, let alone a little girl. It's unheard of. Silence. Everyone quieted. Who is to say a woman can't be a knight? She saved my life. And isn't it said that any sugar, for as long as they shall live, may be a knight? And she is a sugar, like the rest of us, is she not? Besides, I'm the crown prince, I get what I want. True? Your Highness. The prince raised his hands, silencing the guard. Fine, I see your point. He returned his attention to me. Vanessa, for your honor and bravery, I hereby grant you a new title befitting that of your skills and yours alone. For your magical gifts and healing power, you are hereby given the title of Sugar Knight. This title will be set above that of a vassal, disagreeing for you for abilities of which ordinary sugar do not possess. You will be the first in existence to require this title, and therefore you will accompany me to the royal capital. Me? To the capital? The prince pressed his sword firmly against my shoulder, preparing the final words. I dub thee Vanilla Vanessa, a royal Skight. Alright, that looks good. You know what? I can get a bit more in this episode, so I'll return with chapter 3. I think yeah, chapter 3 is out. I'm gonna return in a couple of seconds with that. Whee! Here we are, chapter 3! I don't know how the sound is. I really have no fucking clue. Whatever. Play! Woof. I don't know. It's rained and it's coming down aggressively. Raindrops darted down like icicles on my skin. No matter what I tried, nothing could shield me completely from the pouring rain. Even as I pulled myself through the trees, hiding beneath a large canopy, snipples of water would escape, dripping down my bare skin. Alright, we're Cassandra. Then it's a deeper voice. It was freezing, to the point where I couldn't feel my toes or my fingers anymore. I was completely drenched from head to toe, and my ugly brown frock soaked in rainwater. Oh, a few days had passed since I've made my escape. The caramel soldiers followed me all the way to the great river, but they lost me completely after I stole into the woods. The heavy storm cut them off completely, which was what I initially wanted. Now I regretted it, ever hoping for it. Nothing could be done about this cursed weather. I feel so bad for this girl. She just lost her entire family. Goodness gracious. I was lost, cold, hungry. The possibility of dying wasn't too far off my list. Maybe I could catch a fever tonight, and by the next morning I would either freeze to death or die from a malicious virus. Either event was possible. After all, the chocolate was not blessed with the good grace of good health like vanilla. Would I ever live through this night? I clutched the little spoon close to my chest, though I was sure it was probably just some unwanted trash that saved me from those dogs. Hard to imagine I owed my life to a spoon. My thoughts drifted back to happier times. It was my only distraction. In the warmth of the large laugh of the open fireplace of the chocolate estate, I tried to remember what it was like. Warm, comfortable. Charles would come barging in, ruining my tea party, and we would have another fight about whose turn it was to use the gatter, or fastest pony. Mother and father would come in, separating the two of us before we start fighting again about some other meaningless plaything 2 seconds later. I smiled, remembering. Somehow, if I closed my eyes long enough, I could almost feel myself there again. The freezing cold water and my skin and the emptiness of the pits in my stomach were all just a nightmare. I must be having a bad dream. My eyes started towards the bushes. I could have sworn I heard something. My heart raced. I was far too emaciated to fall asleep now. They couldn't have found me in this pouring rain, could they? Whatever. Using the last of my strength, I crawled myself under a large toadstool. My eyes closed, and slowly I fell asleep. The howling wind was gone. The icy droplets disappeared from the surface of my skin, and the sound of pouring rain disappeared. Was I dead? I strained my eyes open. Morning dewdrops from the rain rested gently on the chocolate leaves and something. The delicate droplets of water looked so calm compared to the icy counterpart from last night. I wouldn't even call it beautiful. My fingers reached out from the top, out to touch one drop. Then I stopped. I snapped out of my momentary distraction, remembering. I was alive. Alive. But how? How could I be alive? I looked at myself. I looked normal. Felt normal. In fact, I felt perfectly healthy. I could feel no trace of the cold wetness clinging to my hair, skin, and clothes of what was supposed to be. And all that was left now was a strange tinkling sensation pulsing from the core of my chest, where I had tucked the spoon. Did it save me again? I reached into my breast pocket. Who the fuck are you? Now look what you've done. You've splintered the reel, you ponderous oaf. Huh? Voices were concealed behind the trees. I suppose you're suggesting we go and find some help? Of course, that's what I'm saying, you plunker. Now, hurry. Let's hurry before the storm comes back in. I moved away the foliage that was blocking my view. There were two figures at the far open of the road. There were two clowns standing next to a wagon of red and white stripes. We shouldn't leave all our food out in the open, shall we? It's not like there's anyone around to snatch it. Now, quit yammering and let's get moving. Yes, sweet sister. The duo pranced off down the road, skipping as they disappeared into the trees. They left their wagon wide out on the open road. What's in the wagon? My stomach growled. I haven't eaten for nearly 3 days. Just the thought of having something in my belly made my mouth water. I didn't even notice my body leaning forward automatically inching closer to see if there was any food. So hungry. I crawled myself out from beneath the toadstool and into the open road. My arms and legs were still too weak to carry my weight. I had no energy. Making sure nobody was around, I hesitated for a few moments before I finally reached into the wagon. I peeked inside. Sweet sugar fairies. My mouth watered at the marvelous sight. Pies, cakes, cookies, almost every delicious sugary morsel imaginable sat in the tiny wagon. Oh, that sounds nice. Without a second thought, I grabbed a slice of blueberry pie. I scoffed it down my throat with no time to even savor the flavor. Then I took another slice of forest cake, devouring it as quickly as the first. The delicious taste of warm, baked sugar melted in my mouth. My legs wobbled. Fuck, it was poisoned or sleeping medicine. Just as I had reached for another slice, my feet struggled to find their balance. What's happening? My vision began to blur. Alright. These two people are trying to catch people. Catch people with that, yeah. Before I knew it, my face met the ground of chocolate dirt. Everything went black. Well, 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 what do we have here? A young maiden lost in the woods. More like a thief, I'd say. My vision was still clouded. I strained my pupils, trying to get a better look at what was happening around me. How come my body felt so sluggish? Get up, you little thief. You don't take kindly to thieving peasants. The two clowns stood over me, one woman, one man. They didn't look too happy. Excuse me. The two clowns glared at me. Their anger was quite apparent. Hair crimson red and skin stark white, they were the strangest pair of sugar I've ever seen. What did they want with me? Pardon, I was hungry. It was only natural that my words trailed off, remembering what they said. Did you just call me a thieving, dirty peasant? No, I was not mistaken. Anger turned my face cherry red. How dare they? How dare they not address me by my lady? Who are you? I demand you to give me your names. They both smirked. Oh God. Why, haven't you heard of us? The famous peppermint twin duo. They flashed me a wink. I immediately was put off by their deviance. No, I wanted to say I haven't heard of either of you upstarts. We've ventured all of the sugaria with our amazing, spectacular feats. Millions have been captivated by our spell-binding performances and sugary-ants all the way from Truffle Town to Cherry City. We have been mesmerized by the Peppermint Twin duo. Led by the note other than I, Jenna, and her injurious twin Kyle. We are the Peppermint Twin duo. They struck a pose in midair. I forced myself not to laugh at their corny display. And we were about to head to our next performance destination, except now they are free of our most important props has been eaten by none other than a thieving little twit. The Peppermint duo pointed accusing looks at me. We want what you stole from us, and you must pay. Wait a minute. They couldn't possibly want me to do anything about the food I'd eaten. I was on the brink of starvation. How could they have no sympathy for a girl like me? Did they even know they were speaking to the one and only heir of the chocolates in the future Countess of Cocoa, the descendant of one? Blah, you're talking highly of yourself. What an ignorant bunch of foreigners. These clowns should bow down and respect the highborn like the lowlifes they were. Don't tell them. I don't know which is good and which is bad. Don't tell them. No, it wouldn't be a good idea. I held my tongue, thinking twice about what I had to say. They could sell me to the caramel soldiers if I revealed my identity. Best pretend for now. I am sorry for eating your food. I can't believe I was apologizing to these two buffins. I wanted to scream. But neither of these two clowns discerned the honor of my presence. They're too ignorant to understand the gravity of my existence. Nothing to give her. What should we do about this, Jenna dear? Well, my dear brother, perhaps it's best to take her on as a dog, until she repays her debt. Were they serious? How dare you! I will not be ordered around like a mutt by some foreign... I caught myself in mid-sentence. If I try to run now, how long will I stay alive? How long could I run? Would I even find food tomorrow, or even for the rest of today? It was hard to say. But I knew one thing for sure. Traveling with these hooligans will give me my share of food and bullet. Plus, the thought of another night of cold starvation made my choice even easier. Sort of. Please let me come with you. I promise I won't cause any trouble. I gritted my teeth, sucking in my pride as I begged. I hated myself for sounding so pathetic. The two clowns exchanged satisfied smirks. Splendid! We need a new girl for a new act anyway. Sweet fairies, they actually wanted me to perform a new act. Why, of course, a girl for a new act. Of course, if you want, you could always clean up after ourselves and wash the dishes and be our little housekeeper. Cleaning after these two clowns. I'd rather eat fudge. What's so wrong with fudge? Everyone hates fudge. I'll do the act. Splendid. The two clowns took both my arms and flung me into the wagon. Wah! I landed roughly onto the wagon floor. Now let's continue on our way to our next destination. Of course, Jenna dear. The Peppermint Sugar Twins skipped to the front of the wagon and sat themselves in the coach seat. With no time to spare, the wagon started moving. There was no time to steady myself as the shaky wagon bumped along the rocky road, heading towards down nowhere. How many hours has it been? How many minutes? The swaying, bumping something of the wagon was making me sick. But I held it in. And we stopped the wagon. I crawled closer to the coach seat where the two twins sat. Neither reacted. Excuse me, stop the wagon. Neither responded. Could they not hear me? Stop the... Did you hear what she said to Kyle, darling? Stop the wagon, she said, Jenna dear. What should we do, brother mine? Keep going, of course. They said no more. I waited for them to speak or say something back to me, but they were deliberately ignoring me. I spoke through gritted teeth, trying not to lose my temper. Can you not hear me? I ask you to stop the wagon. My stomach cannot take any of this motion sick. Then leave. The female clown turned around. Leave. Jump down off this wagon and don't come back. You can always leave, dear, and go back to the woods. Of course, that would mean you'd be on your own again, with no food or shelter to keep you safe from this wretched weather of wild sugar. You might even die on your own alone. I'm sorry. The recorder stopped suddenly. So yeah, something with no food, no shelter to keep yourself from the wretched, weather, alone in deep dark woods. The wagon wheel suddenly halted. I rolled back, startled at the abrupt stop. We arrived at the crossing of the road. There was a large clearing in the woods, yet not large enough for any sunlight to shine through. The leaves dominated the sky, and the canopy shadows loomed wide over the forest ground. They leaped off the wagon. As they made their way to the clearing ground, I sat in the wagon, not in the mood to move. What are you doing in there? The sudden shout startled me. No one ever shouted at me like that before, not in that way. The female clown glared impatiently from afar. Get out of here, you little wretch. I couldn't move. Did you just call me a wretch? Wretch. I was too surprised to react. After a few moments of silence, the female clown came marching back to the wagon. I said, Stop that. Get out! Don't care about the updates. Her hand grabbed me by the ear, yanking me forcefully. I screamed from the pain, but she continued dragging me out of the wagon. When she let go, I dropped into the chocolate dirt covered in dust. My immediate reaction was to fight back. But before I could, she grabbed a handful of my hair. She yanked so hard I swear I could feel some strands being ripped out from my head. Ack! Screaming is useless. She let go, throwing me to the ground. When I finally gathered myself, looking up submissively. Biting my tongue, I held myself back from spitting on her face. Make a fire. She pointed at the bare ground. I don't know how, and didn't you say I wouldn't be doing this? That I'd be performing? So you'd rather not be fed? What? You'd rather starve? Our eyes locked. She looked at me sternly in the eye, making sure I understood the message behind the question. I had no choice. I could start it right away. Splendid! She left with her brother, walking away towards the wagon while leaving me with the task of the fire. Finish before it gets dark. It'd be unfortunate if we only had enough food for my brother and I. She said no more. My eyes peered into the empty ground below me. I wiped away the sucky droplets of water streaming down my face. Owls hooted and bats screeched. The forest creatures sang their midnight lullaby, and I jumped at every shriek of their song. My little fire proved mediocre, but even so the clowns squatted themselves around it. I was forbidden to sit anywhere near them. My stomach growled. I waited for hours for either of them to offer me my fill, but it was nearly midnight now. I should go ask. Excuse me. I approached them cautiously. Could they not hear me? Excuse me! What are you doing here? You said I would have my fill of food. Dinner? There's nothing left now. You should have asked sooner, dear. Were they serious? You said if I build a fire, I'd have some dinner to eat. Sorry, it's all gone. I blinked twice, speechless. Their nonchalant attitude made it even worse, but it was like it was somehow my fault. Now, leave us be and get back to the wagon. If you slack off tomorrow, we won't be needing you anymore. You can make that thing, you know, the fire thing. Just run away and try to catch some animals or something, or find a city and tell you something else and work for someone who's fair. Okay? Please. My stomach growled loudly, but neither of them paid no mind. I had no choice to walk back empty-handed. The clowns resumed their banter as they turned back to their warm abode. Ungrateful rats. I cut my delicate skin by building that fire. I burned my fingers It singed my hair, and now I don't even get dinner as I was promised, or a simple word of thanks. I was the heiress to the land of chocolate, a descendant of the ancient chocolate line. How could they treat someone like me, of all people, like this? My eyes lingered back towards the two clowns, pondering for a moment on whether or not I should reveal myself. I'll remember this. I swear by all three fairies, when I'm countess, they'll both regret this. When I finally reached the wagon, I crawled into the farthest corner of the cabin. No blanket to shield me from the cold, I did my best to keep myself warm. Oops. Sometime later, a warm, wet moisture trickled down my face. It was the only source of warmth I had, so I continued to cry. Somebody shook my shoulder. Wake up! It's time. Time you started practicing, dear. I forced my eyes open. The morning light disarmed me, blinding me for a moment's time. Practice. You'll start with juggling. She tossed 3 peppermint bubbles at my head. I dodged all but one. Ow! They landed at my feet. What am I supposed to do? Before I could ask, the duo pranced away. Far out of hearing distance, they landed yards from the wagon, practicing their own routine. I climbed out of the cabin. The bubbles rested at my feet. My eyes bore into them, unsure of what to do. A part of me wanted to kick them away far beyond my reach, but I knew better. Doing so would most likely anger the clowns. I looked over my shoulder at the 2 peppermints. The female walked on her arms with her legs in the air while the male tooted a cinnamon flute. Neither of them showed any intention of coming over to teach me. Were they expecting me to teach myself? I knew nothing about juggling. All I knew that was a simple toss and catch, but any idiot could do that. Sweet fairies, what am I supposed to do? I couldn't risk going over there and asking. They could just as easily come up with an excuse to withhold food for another night. I don't want to do this. I bent down, reaching out towards the red and the white bubble. My fingers tentatively touched the surface before curling around the strangle and delicate ball. Just one toss. I threw it lightly into the air and my other hand caught it. Simple enough. I picked up another. Taking a chance, I tossed both. Both my hands reciprocated in time, catching both their partners. I did twice more just to make sure. On the latter, I missed. One bubble landed on my head before meeting the ground. Ow! I rubbed the spot where it hit me. It'd only been my hand. If I'd opened my hand on time, then the bubble would have otherwise been caught. This was way too hard. I wanted to give up, but then my stomach growled. On a gamble, I picked up the third. Was I able to juggle free? Might as well. Without another moment to spare, I tossed the fruits into the air. Gravity dragged the first bubble down and left my hand caught la toss the. It's going okay. The pattern continued, demanding my total concentration. Whoa! There was a peasant boy standing on the road. He must have been passing by. I had no time to pay him thanks. He didn't seem to mind. Bravo! Bravo! More and more people stopped on their way, crushing to watch our little circus act, and soon enough a crowd gathered. Oh, look at the clowns! We continued to act without delay. The duo behind me performed their routine while I continued to juggle. What a sweet chocolate lass. She looks like the daughter of the late chocolate clown. I froze. My arms stiffened, unable to hold the bubbles as they fell to the ground. Everyone's eyes turned to me as my juggling came to an abrupt end. My eyes darted through the crowd, searching for the owner of the last voice. I was completely horrified by the fact that someone almost recognized me. What if the clowns found out? They'd send me to the caramel soldiers for sure. Just a little accident. She's a new girl. The clown dragged me by the ear, pulling me away. Her brother carried on entertaining the rest of the mass, earning more claps from the audience as his flute sang a solo. It was hard to hear the lovely tune as his sister dragged me across the clearing, freeing my ear only when we fell out of sight behind the wagon. You stay here before you drive away any more of the customers. I was still practicing. If I'd known a sharp sting whipped across my face. The clown made sure to slap me hard before I opened my mouth again. Excuses, excuses. A girl like you should be grateful we're taking you in. Little thieves like you don't deserve our charity. My eyes looked at the ground. If you're going to practice, then practice properly and out of sight. Don't mess up in front of our audience again. She made her leave. I made sure she was far out of sight before I gave in. My body slumped against the wagon. Unable to move, I stared at the chocolate earth as my eyes brimmed with tears. Oh, I couldn't stay here. I had to leave. A noble girl like me didn't deserve this kind of treatment. No, not even a noble girl. Nobody deserved to be treated this way, not even a thief. I wiped my eyes. That was not the time to dilly-dally. It was my chance to run. The clowns were preoccupied by the growing crowd, giving me enough time to sneak away quietly into the woods. The only thing stopping me right now was... My eyes lingered at the wagon. The clowns must have hidden a stash of nuggets in their cabin. Did I dare? Run away, don't steal. Better not take any chances. Even if I did have the money to buy food, maybe I could survive on mushrooms or berries for a while. Wild sugar eat them on a daily basis, so why can't I? Oh, look at that! The audience cheered. My pulse quickened, pumping the adrenaline through my veins. I was afraid, even though I didn't want to admit it. This was my only chance. Looking back a few more times, I made sure they were all well distracted, and I quietly slipped into the bushes. Well, why do you have to run? They're not gonna catch you. There was a sharp pain in my stomach. It wasn't the familiar ache of hunger, it was the gradual ache of starvation. My body was at its limit and I needed food fast. I fell collapsing on the ground. I was delirious. Lights flashed before my eyes and I reached out, hoping to grab onto something, anything that I could put in my mouth. Though it was a hazy... Oh no, it's probably poisonous. Oh god, berries. Why can't I save? Alright. A bushel of berries and a big bright red mushroom. Berries. Mushrooms are bad for you kids. Sweet fairies, I hated finicky. There was nothing I hated more than eating mushrooms and toadstools. Heck. Through the berry. Okay, you're eating. Alright, well, okay. I'm sorry, I just read through that. I rose from the ground, continuing on my way down the road. We're alive! My stomach started to complain again. I was losing strength much faster than before. The fatigue I felt wasn't nearly as bad as earlier, and I couldn't recall having this intense burning sensation. Oh god. Oh no. Are you sure we're on the right track? She couldn't have gotten far. I whipped my head around. Peppermint clowns? Fuck! I'm soldiers! Ah! Fucking me! Fuck! They were halfway through the chocolate woods. In a few minutes they would reach me. Sneaky little brat. Kyle, how could you have let her slip off into the night? She must have gone this way, I'm telling you. If it's the wrong way, the king will have your head. I bolted, taking off. I didn't dare look back as I sprinted away. Look, there she is! After her! A bunch of pounding footsteps followed from behind. I couldn't believe it. How could they have found me so fast? After all that running, I still couldn't get away. Whack! I trailed my arms, trying to retain my balance. When my footing found the ground again, I took a step back, retreating from the ledge. Sweet fairies, I almost fell into the river. There she is! After her! Panic rushed through me. I was trapped on the ledge, with nowhere else to run. My only chance was of escape was I to dash headstrong into the soldiers and hope for a miracle, jump into the appeared down into the waters below. Gulp. My eyes shut tight as I took a leap in faith. I have to end the episode here. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.